Alright guys, welcome back to another Fortnite video, and in this one it is time for my week 7 challenges guide, featuring the locations of Expedition Outposts, the secret star from the loading screen for this week, as well as just a bunch of tips, tricks, and secrets for a bunch of the other challenges as well. So we're going to be walking through like some good ways to complete the search chests at Frosty Flights or Loot Lake challenge, and also like how to destroy flying stormwings pretty easily. So yeah guys, this should help you get closer to unlocking the Snow King, and also ranking up like Lynx and Zenith, and getting closer to the Snowfall skin, which requires 60 weekly challenges to be completed. But yeah guys, if you do find these guides helpful and you want to support me, you can use my code TheLlamaSir in the item shop. That is TheLlamaSir. You simply click the button in the bottom right corner of the item shop, and then you can input that code in the box that shows up. And thanks to all of you who have already been supporting me. But yeah guys, as for the video itself, be sure to hit that like button down below if you find it helpful, and also comment what tier or level you guys are at. Reminder guys, you're probably going to want to keep doing the weekly challenges because again, you need them to get closer to the Snowfall skin. So yeah, but I'm curious to see what tier you guys are at currently. Now without further ado here, let's first jump into it with a quick overview of the challenges themselves in case you're not home to see them. But again, we're going to be covering the secret star for this week. It is a star, not a banner. And then for the challenges themselves, you have use a rift or rift to go in separate matches, destroy a flying X4 Stormwing, and also land at location stages. And you've also got visit all Expedition Outposts. I'll show you all the locations you need for that. Search chests at Frosty Flights or Loot Lake, got some tips for that as well. And damage opponents in a single match plus stages and pistol eliminations. So pretty interesting week of challenges, but let's go ahead and jump into it with the first challenge I want to talk about in this video, and that is the destroy flying X4 Stormwing. And at first this may seem a little bit tough, but actually it's not really that tough. It's kind of, you know, something that happens is very situational. Obviously you have to wait for somebody else to be flying a Stormwing in order for you to destroy it, but there's still some tips I can give you guys to make this a little bit easier. Now the first of which is that I think personally the easiest way to destroy a Stormwing is just with an AR. That's because they deal a consistent amount of damage, it's accurate at the range you'll probably need to destroy a Stormwing, and it can destroy one fairly easily. I guess it depends on how close you are because of like the damage drop-offs, but I think that is easier than using like, I don't know, a pistol or an SMG or a sniper, so that's what I would recommend. Now then, what is a quicker way to maybe find somebody using a Stormwing or something like that? Well, I think the normal game modes are best for this. Like, I prefer solo just because I feel like a lot of people do use Stormwings in solo, and if you're just playing normally, eventually you're probably going to run into somebody flying overhead in a Stormwing. Now, if you really want to get one of these done, you could drop, like, at the start of a match, just drop down to the closest Stormwing spawn. Like, say you're near Frosty Flights, you can drop down there, maybe grab an AR, and wait for somebody to maybe take a Stormwing and fly off with it. And then once they fly off, you can maybe shoot at it and hopefully knock it down before they get too far away. Or you could also try doing a big team mode and landing on the other side where some of the Stormwings spawn, and just like the same thing, wait for somebody to take one. So yeah guys, this one may just take a little bit of time because it is situational. You're gonna need to find that right situation in order to get it done, but you should eventually be able to do it. And then after that guys, let's jump into it with the secret star location for this week. That's right guys, this week is a star, last week was a banner, and as you guys know, and as it seems to continue to do, they continue to switch back and forth and back and forth. So next week will probably be a banner and stuff like that. But yeah, this should get you like a free tier or stuff like that. So let's go ahead and jump into where this one most likely is. The loading screen has been floating around a lot on Reddit and Twitter and things like that. And as you guys know, there's generally a clue hidden in there as to where you can find the like star or banner for the respective week. So for this one guys, and actually as a reminder, as always, if you're new to these challenges, you do have to complete this week's challenges in order for this star to show up. On top of that, you also need to complete the previous week's challenges as well, because this is like the 7th special loading screen challenge. So you need to complete 7 weeks of challenges in order to get there, if that makes sense. But yeah guys, you should get like a little thing that shows up within the snowfall challenges if you've completed like the 7 weekly challenges, and it'll say like find the secret battle star in loading screen number 7, something like that. But yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into it with the location of where it supposedly is, and basically it should be at Polar Peak. Now it doesn't really matter what game mode you go into as long as it's like with other players and not like playground or anything like that. I'm just in playground to show you the location, but once you drop towards Polar Peak, you want to go straight into the throne room or whatever it's called. I mean the room with the throne in it. Pretty straightforward. But yeah, once you go in there, it should be somewhere around this throne right here. So yeah guys, should be pretty straightforward, and if for whatever reason the location of it changes or gets updated, simply check the pinned comment down below for updates on that, but honestly guys, it should be right here. But after that guys, let's real quick talk about the challenge that has you use a rift or rift to go in separate matches. Now this one right here is honestly pretty easy if you know how to do it, and the only tough part about it technically is that it does have to be in separate matches, but still guys, it's pretty easy overall. Now the way I would recommend doing it is just to use a rift and not the rift to go, because then at like the start of a match you can just go to somewhere that has rifts, just glide right into them, and then you're starting off your match with part of a challenge done. So some good examples of where a bunch of rifts spawn are the Viking village on the west side of the map. You've also got a bunch in the desert biome where like Paradise Palms is, mostly near like the tall mountains or hills, whatever you want to call them. There's also some like off the edge of the map right here. So yeah guys, if you want to switch it up, you can go to some of those locations, and that's probably the best way to go about doing it. Now as for the game mode, you know, just do what you're comfortable with. It really doesn't matter, but honestly maybe if you're going for some other challenges at the start, you can go to a rift and then go and work on the other challenges you wanted to work on. Then after that guys, let's talk about the search chests challenge. This time it is search chests in either Loot Lake or Frosty Flights, which is definitely a pretty interesting combination of locations. So let's go over like which may be better and the best way to go about doing this challenge. Now personally, big team limited time modes I feel are the best to do this in, especially if there's like sides to them, because if your bus path is on the side of one of these locations, you're not going to have to worry about enemies most of the time unless they come over to your side. So that gives you a little bit of an easier time, and also a lot of them allow glider redeploy, which helps you to move around faster within these locations. Now as for the locations themselves, personally I prefer Loot Lake because all of the chests are out in the open, and if you have a mode with glider redeploy, you can move in between them fairly fast. And like for example here, as you can see, there's 3 possible chest spawns in the center. I'm just showing you in playground because they all spawn there. Obviously you're not going to be able to do it in playground, but on top of that you've got a bunch around this like inner, I don't know, what would you call it, this inner divot of Loot Lake. As you can see, there's a bunch of chests around there, so if you just keep running around, gliding around, you're going to be able to find a decent amount, especially if you have Loot Lake like to yourself. You should be able to get this challenge done pretty easily. On top of that, there's also chests further outside of this area around Loot Lake. I'm not going to show you all of those because it would take a bit of time, but if you need more, just explore, you know, more so towards the bigger rocks within inside of Loot Lake. Should be able to find more over there. Now as for Frosty Flights, it's still good as well. Like for example, I believe there are 4 chests that can spawn within the hangars, which is pretty decent, and also a bunch of chests that can spawn within the main building. Like as you can see, here is just some of them as an example. So this is a good location to go as well if you want the cover of like the buildings. So there's pros and cons to each, but honestly guys, overall this challenge shouldn't be too difficult. Now after that then, the pistol eliminations challenge. This one is pretty straightforward as well, but I would definitely again choose a big team limited time mode. Depending on which time you're watching this video, the mode that is live might be different, but if you're able to do this within one that has respawns, that's honestly probably the best way to go about doing this one. Now as for the pistols themselves and which ones to use, honestly you can use whatever pistol you want, but personally I prefer the silenced pistols. I feel like those deal a decent amount of damage, and again, if you're in a big team mode with respawns, you can just go into a few battles and eventually you'll probably be able to get some eliminations with a pistol. Honestly guys, it's pretty straightforward and shouldn't take too long overall. Now then after that, you also have the damage opponents in a single match plus stages. I haven't quite gotten to the other stages yet, so I apologize for that, but usually with stage challenges, the rest of them are fairly similar to like the first one, and just judging by the first one, damage opponents in a single match, I would recommend just going for this one when you're going for the pistol eliminations, because you're going to be able to deal damage with the pistol when you're going for those eliminations, and it's kind of like knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone there. So this one should be pretty straightforward. The other stages I would assume are similar, but if they're not, hopefully you can still utilize like some of these overall tips, like play in big team limited time modes, maybe try and knock out 2 birds with 1 stone by doing multiple challenges at the same time, stuff like that. But after that then guys, let's jump into it with the locations of the outposts that you have to visit. Got 7 of them here to show you. Now real quick before we get into that guys, if you haven't yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you do not want to miss any of these guides, because I post them every single week, giving you guys tips, tricks, and secrets for the challenges of that week. Now the best way to know about those videos is to be subscribed and have notifications turned on, so be sure to do so. But yeah, for this challenge, again, you have to visit the different outposts. So let's go over the best way of doing that and also the locations of where you can find these outposts. So first of all guys, it doesn't really matter what game mode you do this in, just do whatever you prefer. Some people may prefer doing it in solo, some may prefer doing it in a big team mode. Honestly, it doesn't really matter, but I would recommend recommend doing it in one where the stormwings spawn. Because like, for example here, say you go to this outpost, which is near Pleasant Park. It's up to the northeast of it. If you land at this one, you can grab a stormwing and then start making your way to some of the other outposts. Like, for example, maybe you grab one of those stormwings and then you fly south over to the outpost that is on the southwest side of Pleasant Park, sort of in between a couple of the big mountains. This one is usually pretty quiet, but that's like a good example of how you can use the stormwing and like land at this location and go here and then move on to the next one. Now let's just go through the other locations here. After that, you also have one in the iceberg biome to the north of Happy Hamlet on top of this hill or mountain right here. And then if you go east into the sort of desert biome, there's one sort of at the edge of it between Fatal Fields and Paradise Palms. Now on top of that, if you keep wanting to go and like circle around, you've also got one near Lonely Lodge. It's just to the east of it on top of a hill. And then after that, if you keep circling around, there's one to the south of Lazy Lynx, in between Lazy Lynx and Tomato Temple. But then for the more so common one, the one that you see a lot of players at, it is the one sort of near the center of the map, next to Dusty Divot on top of this hill or mountain, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, guys, those are 7 locations to help you get them done. I'm not sure if there's any more than that, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. Now, for whatever reason, something changes with that, and one of them like doesn't work for you, which I don't think would happen, simply check the pinned comment down below for updates. So yeah, guys, but let's move on to the final challenge I want to talk about in this video. This is simply the land at location stages. This one is very straightforward, and honestly, the only tip I can really give you guys about this one is to maybe try and couple it with another challenge or 2 challenges or something. Like, for example, if you need to land at one location, maybe you can try and find a rift nearby or something like that, for example. So try to do multiple challenges when you're doing this one, but honestly, it just takes a little bit of time to do it, but overall, it's pretty easy. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for today's guide. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful, and if you did, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. On top of that, you can check out my previous week's guide, week 6, by clicking the card on the left, and then on the right, an update video going over like the sphere showing up and stuff like that. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.